Hey guys, Christopher here, and welcome to part 16 of How to Pixel Art. Today, we're finally going to get around to finishing off our Red Rocket Viking and doing an animation for him, a walk cycle, in fact. Obviously, this has been the most requested thing, so we're finally here. We finally get to do this one. This is probably going to be a long tutorial, though, so there's no real quick way about it. This is something, probably one of the reasons why I put this one off for a bit is because I was trying to figure out a way to get this to be smaller, but the truth is there's just animation takes time. There's no real way around it. So yeah, sit down and I guess enjoy and start learning. So with walk cycles, it depends on what sort of the way your game looks. And the aesthetic that you've gone for. Walk cycles can be like usually between 2 and 8 frames most of the time. I find they can be longer depending on what sort of game it is and how smooth you want your characters to look. In some older games, for instance like Wonder Boy, they got away with 2 frame walk cycles. So basically legs would be spread apart and then legs would be together, and it kind of creates the impression that they're just kind of walking, and it's really passable. Like it really gets by because it fits in with the aesthetic of everything that else is going on. I used to do a lot of 8 frame walk cycles because I like that they're really smooth and they look really good, but most of the time now I do 6 frame walk cycles. Now you'll notice that all those numbers that I've said, you can do 4 as well. All the numbers that I've said are even, and the reason for that is that you've got 2 legs, so whatever one leg does, the other leg immediately does following. So you can effectively halve a walk cycle, and you should think of it as 2 halves, whereas one leg then repeats what the leg did before. When they cross over, they've swapped roles. So also, you can break down the steps of a walk cycle. You've got kind of, in my 6 frame walk cycle, that means I've got 3 positions for each leg. The first position is going to be a support position, where imagine you've taken your step forward, your legs are like apart like that, and you're kind of like cushioning when you hit the floor. The next frame, this leg will come under, your front leg comes under, you lift up, and this leg bends. The third frame will be you stepping forward, and my alarm's going off. Terribly unprofessional, I'm sorry. So and the third frame is you stepping forward. And then after that, everything repeats again because you've got the cushioning of the other leg, and then the crossover, and then the steps. So that's what we're going to do. And let's get stuck in. So the first thing I'm going to do is just grab these torso frames and just mirror them across, basically. So I think I went here, actually, and let's start a new animation. We'll call this one walk. No, not Wallach walk. We're not doing a Wallach animation today. I'm sorry. Let's go there. And then we're going to move him up. And then we're going to move him up 2. Go there. Move up 1. Move up 2. So there you go. You can already see the repeat there. So if we go to here, it should look like he's bopping along in a very silly way. There we go. Finished. All right, now let's make it look a little bit better. All right, fine. So let's get stuck in. This is going to be our crossover. So let's put his legs apart a little bit. And just imagine like you've taken your first step. And again, I remember saying this in my last video. Get up. This is like, I've done these so many times now that it's ingrained in my brain. But when you first do it, and I used to do this a lot, just get out of your chair, walk, pay attention to what you do, walk naturally. And you'll start to understand like the frames that you're actually doing and what your body is doing, and then you'll get a better feel for what the frames should be. So after we've done this one, this is the step up frame. So basically what we're doing here is we are crossing over our leg. So this leg comes back because it's passing underneath, and then this leg comes up and over. I might do it like square like that. That's pretty good. Okay. So I'm kind of just ignoring everything else and just getting my legs in a good position at the moment. This is something you should definitely do. Ignore all your other things that are not important, and you just want to focus on getting those keyframes right. That's what'll help you get everything right. Oh, we need our shadows here. Let's just copy those across. So he's got some ground to walk on. This frame, yeah, okay. All right, so let's continue on. So our next frame is, we'll just move this leg out of the way completely. And then this one comes all the way back to here. Okay. So obviously when you start rotating pixels, it's not always going to be clean. So always clean them up. I just do it as a base shape, just to get a feel for like which angle I should be doing them at. But most of the time they are going to be horrible, so don't actually use them. It's up to you which part you want to capture here. Sometimes you can, it helps to go forward, and sometimes it helps to like sort of still have it bent and kind of, because your leg goes forward like this with knee pointing forward, and then as you go to take the step, it folds out and you put your leg down. So I might just have it going like this, I think. Kind of at a slight angle. Let's compare that to my last frame. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay. All right. Also, if you have been following my Pixel Daily series, I am sorry that I have not done that in a while. Obviously, as soon as it came crunch time for Dungeon League, and I have to work on the latest patch, the idea of doing a piece of pixel art and recording it every single day was completely unrealistic for me, unfortunately. So Pixel Dailies will probably stay where it is at the moment, and I'll just do them every now and then when I can. Yeah, but there won't be one each day, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, so we've done one complete like cycle of this half of the leg. So we're going to go back and then we'll do the other half for the other leg. So at this point we start with our crossover, but the crossover is around the other way now. So this leg goes back and this leg goes forward. Angle this one. All right, this one goes back. All right, so that's looking a bit weird at the moment. The reason why it's looking a bit weird is because I just switch the legs around. What I actually need to do is go in and fix up his, I never even figured out the name for this, his Viking skirt. It needs to actually move with the leg. That's why it probably looks a bit dodgy at the moment. So he's kind of like dodgily crossing over his legs at the moment. So ignore the fact that it looks a bit silly at this point. So you can see it gives the impression. So now after that leg has gone forward, we do this. The front leg then goes to the support position, the step up. And then this leg that is back begins its, let's move this leg out of the way first to get this one in the right position. The back leg then starts moving towards the forward position again. So let's put that there. And then move this underneath. Okay, so we're almost there. So we got our last frame here. And in the last frame, this back leg, this leg that's supporting goes back underneath and stretches right back. Put a bit of an angle on it. And this one is now moving towards stepping down. Okay, and you can already see we're starting to get a semi-ish smooth sort of walk cycle going on there. Okay, so there we go. That's a good start. So now what we need to do is clean up the movement of his Viking dress. I'm just going to call it that. I don't even care if that's the right name for it anymore. Which obviously it isn't. I would not tell a Viking he was wearing a dress. That is not something I would do. I would advise you not to do the same. So what do we got here? Let's move that in to here as that crosses over. I made it pretty difficult for myself by doing this sort of pattern on here. Okay, so we got a little bit of movement there. Let's actually have this flick up, I think. Oh, that's a bit much. Okay, so what do we got here? Got that leg crossing over, so this needs to come back in here. And this definitely needs to be going that way. Following the contour of the leg. As you can see, the design choices that you make in your sprite will come to affect how you animate. So this is why you try and keep things simple. Okay, so now it's crossing under. So this can go more down, I think. Okay. So let's have this rise up just here. And still keep this part down. This come down a bit. Okay. Now that's very rough. I would spend more time on that personally, but I want to keep moving. I don't want to get caught up in the fact that there's a lot of detail in here. I could definitely make that look smoother and have a bit more of a fluid bounce to it, but it'll do for now. Okay, so let's get his beard going as well. As I said in the last one, hair is your best friend because it really helps convey movement. So this frame and this frame are obviously his lowest, the point where he's like sunk down the most. So when you sink down, hair goes up, obviously, because it's lighter, so it has air resistance. So you can use this to your advantage to convey the movement of his walk. Okay, it looks a bit silly right now. That's because we haven't done the other frames. So let's persevere and keep going. Okay, might even have his beard swing across to the other way. We'll see how that looks. Hopefully it doesn't get a bit silly and carried away. We will see. Okay. So we're going to swing across there now. Let's bring it back in. I've really created lots of annoying things to Pixel on here. I should have just made him heaps flatter. Okay. So something I'm spotting already is that this top bit of the beard isn't moving, which makes it a bit silly. It's a lot of beard movement. I probably should turn it down, but it's funny. Okay, let's make it just go straight down. Okay, so a little too much. Let's tone down this frame. I think is probably the one that's pushing a bit too much. That's not too bad. Missing a bit of hair on this one. There we go. So that's not too bad. So let's keep moving. So next we've got sword arm. So paste that in. Now the first thing I do is always just get them all in the right spots. So I'm just aligning that to his shoulder on all frames, and it should just follow his movement and not be dynamic at all. And this is with the base of it. So there we go. So his sword's not moving at all so far. Just follows him. He's dead still. So what you want to do, I find, is when this impact one, so that's frames 1 and 4, you want to just drag it down one frame. And now he's got a little bit of weight to him. So when he's impacting, the sword's kind of pulling down a bit. If you want to go to the next extreme, you can push this frame up. And it looks like it's got some sort of bounce to it. Now, all these things are important because little details like this is what makes things lighter and heavier. So I'm paying more attention to the down frame, so therefore I'm creating weight to the sword. If I push things up, then they look lighter and floatier. This is sometimes great for lighter characters. So, yeah, we're on the shield layer. Okay, yep. Just move that out there. Okay, again, just putting it in the same position on the arm for all the frames. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing. So he's got some real bounce to him there. So this is something else to keep in mind as well, is keeping not mirroring everything. So if I go to this sword as well and push this up here, you can see you've got like an alternating thing going on. Sometimes this works well for your animation depending on what you're doing. It just makes things not so symmetrical, because people don't move like that. People don't move in perfect symmetry. There's always subtle variation. Okay, so let's do something else. So as when you're walking, as your left leg is in its forwardmost position, your right arm is going to be forward. So yeah, you alternate legs as you go. So your arms, the opposite arm is forward. That's if you're carrying like two items. If you're carrying like a staff or something or other, your movement is different again. So this is something to get up, practice, walk around. If you have a sword, walk around, carry it around your house. If you've got a shield too, then, awesome. So let's do this. We will start with the sword. Okay, let's do the sword first. So where we got here, his left leg is most forward there. So this is when the right arm will be back. So when his left leg is back there, his right arm's going to be the most forward. So I'm going to go one. Actually, no. I'm going to just grab his sword part. Yeah, and go 1, 2. Okay, and then the frames before and after this, I'm going to add 1 frame forward movement. And now it looks a bit smoother. Okay. So now we need to do the same with the opposite arm. So as his left leg is forward, we want his left arm to be back. So this is where we want our shield to be the most back. Now, the way we are going to do this is we are going to actually get on the shield layer first, and we're going to trim off 2 layers of shield there to give the impression that it's actually turning at an angle there. And then we are going to trim off 1 from here. And then we are going to go over to this one, the one before, and we're all going to trim off one layer there. Okay, so you can see it looks like his shield's got a bit of a bend to it now. Now, as it comes around here, let's add another layer to this shield. Darken this right up. So we're going to do the edges. Ooh, let's be a bit darker. Oh, it's really blending with that, isn't it? Let's just do this color then. So it looks like he's showing the edge of the shield there. Okay, it's got a few color problems there because obviously there's so many grays going on. Again, that's something I'd go and spend a lot of time fixing up. Okay. All right, might even move this back, see how that looks. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Okay, cool. So that's a good starting point for you. I would spend more time on this, again, just getting this right, adding subtleties, cleaning things up. Yeah, just to make them look better all the time. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.